On behalf of the Phillips 66 Rodeo Refinery and Carbon Plant employees, thank you for joining us today for the 12th annual Walk of Honor for our veterans, benefiting the Vietnam veterans of Diablo Valley and the Crockett Community Services District. I'm Rich Harbison, Vice President of the San Francisco Refinery. I come from a long line of service members. My grandfather served in the U.S. Army during World War II, active duty on the European front, and my dad served in the Vietnam War. The Walk of Honor celebrates the service of our military veterans, both in our workforce and our community. Usually, participants are invited to walk across the Alfred Zampa Memorial Bridge and then enjoy a gathering of remembrance, honor, and celebration. But due to the COVID-19 restrictions, this year we're celebrating virtually. I'd like to recognize members of our Employees Veterans Network, dedicated members of our Walk of Honor Committee, outside partners, contractors, elected officials, veterans, as well as those that are currently serving in the armed forces. It's equally fitting that we have aligned today's activities with the Armed Services Day. None of this would be possible without your support and the generous support of our numerous sponsors. A special thank you to our guest speaker, Dr. Shauna Springer, Doc Springer as I understand she goes by, who will give an enlightening presentation later in the program. In February of this year, our refinery celebrated our 125th anniversary. We are the oldest refinery in the Bay Area, and we remain firmly rooted in our community. As part of our research into this milestone, we learned about Ora Albert Sweet, a Crockett resident and employee who worked at the refinery in 1917, which was then owned and operated by Union Oil Company. World War I was beckoning all able-bodied men, and Ora enlisted to serve in the Army. After basic training at Camp Lewis, he was deployed to London, where he was assigned to Company B, 26th Infantry. Ora was a member of the Crockett Volunteer Fire Department and was engaged to be married at war's end. Unfortunately, the war claimed the life of young Ora, but his legacy continues today. The funds raised from this virtual walk support the Crockett Community Services District's mission to rehabilitate and retrofit the Crockett War Memorial that was built to honor Ora, who was one of the 4 young men from Crockett who lost their lives in World War I. Your support is helping to make this happen. As we celebrate today, let us honor and recognize our service members, past and present. So on behalf of our 400 plus employees, I'm honored to help kick off the 2021 Walk of Honor for our veterans. And thank you for your support.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave
Doc Shauna Springer here. I'm so pleased to support this 2021 Walk of Honor event, a really important event in our veteran community to bring in the veterans, the family members, all those who serve us, and to honor their service and sacrifice. And this talk is also sponsored by the Veterans Voices television program of Contra Costa County. And the wonderful crew there plans very brave shows that air every second Monday of every month at 7 o'clock in California. And they're on your local cable station. But you can also call in and interact with us, ask us questions. It's a live monthly television program, and we'd love to see you on the show, either as participants or guests. We do a lot of different things with that. So for now, I really want to focus for this address on the impact of this year for all of us, and to really give voice to that impact, because this year has been a prolonged year of trauma. And when I have a Vietnam combat veteran tell me that he's been in combat in the jungles of Vietnam, but has never really had a trauma like this, or seen a time like this when the whole world just shut down for a long period of time and everybody was affected in such deep and profound ways. I remember that kind of a comment. And so I think, we've all been in this trauma together, and there have been so many painful things that we experience that other people may not notice or be aware of. For example, not being able to hug elderly parents or our grandchildren has been physically painful. Our arms are aching to hold them after a year of social distancing. Or losing the incidental contacts of people in our lives that we might run into at a coffee shop or out while we're shopping, just have a spontaneous conversation that we didn't plan. Those kinds of social contacts are also gone. And so many of us have lived in a state of relative social isolation for this year. And unless we've made really concerted, proactive efforts to keep in touch, it's been a really challenging year, and one that we've often probably felt fairly isolated within. And so I think these kinds of impacts are some of many more that we're feeling. I think that there's been huge disruptions in the way we live and work. Some of us have lost businesses that we've worked for many years to establish and make successful. And then even the things like our favorite restaurants or places that we went to that we enjoyed, where we rested or found enjoyment, pleasure, our favorite meals. Some of these places have also gone out of business. And so the landscape around us has also changed. And all of those little changes, they add up to a really traumatic year, even if we haven't had any of the sort of major traumas, which some of us have, of losing people due to COVID or due to suicide or due to other causes, and just being separated from people that we love in their passage and not being with them during that time. So I wanted to give voice to these things and to acknowledge that while this has impacted all of us across society, it has had a special impact on many in the warfighter and veteran community, because the nature of these traumas has echoed some of the traumas that people have experienced before. For example, the idea of being hypervigilant all the time against an invisible threat that no one can see can put us in that same state of fight or flight that people can find themselves in for long periods of time when they deploy. The physical comfort of bunkering in and just, denying ourselves the ability to go out and socially connect the ways that we would like to can also echo past traumas. And the cut-off grief as well, losing people suddenly in unpredicted ways can also be a huge burden that can echo past trauma. And this can have a double impact for people that have had these kinds of traumas before. We've also learned some really important lessons. We've learned that it's often harder to do nothing than to do something really hard. People talk about how Londoners during the bombing were so resilient and they went on about their lives, but that was what they were able to do, was meet the threat directly. by being sort of bold and rebellious in the face of that threat. Whereas we've been called to stay home and do nothing. And that runs against our instincts. Our instincts, especially those of us who are wired for action, our instinct is to respond directly when we face a threat, but that has not been possible. We've been, often asked to stay home and just kind of hope that the wave of the virus passes over us. So that's been really psychologically challenging for many of us. I think the disconnection that we've suffered, it's made it very clear how important connection is for all of us, that when we connect, we survive. And especially in times of crisis, we need to be with each other. We need to hold each other in a warm embrace. But this virus has divided us from each other for a time, but we're going to come back. And then the loss of our roles and identities. If businesses have not worked out, or we've lost businesses we've worked so hard to build, that's going to have a long-term impact. I would want to share that I think as we come out of this, we're going to have a time in our lives collectively together that we'll never forget. I think about the kinds of Thanksgivings we're going to have when we are able to joyfully reunite with people that we haven't been able to see in more than a year, and hold our loved ones and talk and connect in person as it becomes safe to reunite, that we're going to have just a year of incredible reunions, and we're really going to be able to enjoy at a different level and not take for granted how much connection enriches our lives. We have a very special community here with the veterans of Diablo Valley, the Vietnam veterans of Diablo Valley, all of the things that the Diablo Valley Veterans Foundation is doing to improve the lives of veterans and the lives of everyone in our community. And we are a tight-knit group. And so we're going to hang in there together, and we're going to be able to come back together and find so much joy in our continued and resumed connection. I also think that for some of us, there's going to be a long-term impact, and I want to give voice to that. We've also seen a lot lower stigma around needing help, seeking help, and the availability of teletherapy, which is available at the VA and at the Vet Center. Actually, the VA and the Vet Center were on the front edges of that innovation many years ago, before it became more of a common thing this past year. So there are many good docs out there. There are psychologists, social workers, licensed mental health counselors, coaches, people that can help bring us back and repair the damage of this year. And there are new innovations in treatment for those of us that feel like we just can't calm down no matter what. My organization, Stella, has been scaling up across the country to make a very innovative treatment available for trauma. And it's a treatment that is an injection of an anesthetic medication into a bundle of nerves in the neck, and it can make people calm again in their own bodies. So if that's an area where help is needed, that help is now available and scaled up. We have sites in San Jose, in Los Angeles, in San Diego. So stellacenter.com is where you can find more about that if that's of interest. And I'm going to keep working hard and staying on mission. I brought forward a second edition of my book, Warrior. It released on April 27th, and it did well in the release. So I hope that's going to be a blessing to many people in the community who want insight about the impact of trauma and how we can heal from it, most importantly. So thank you for giving me the honor of being able to make this address in support of the Walk of Honor for 2021. And I look forward to seeing all of you in person and resuming our connection in person.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the special table near the front of the room. We ask that you remain seated yet silent as we conduct the POW MIA ceremony. This ceremony is rich with military tradition as we honor those men and women of our United States military who, in the defense of the freedoms of our nation and that of the free world, are accounted for and are classified as prisoners of war or missing in action. This ceremony is conducted by Lance Corporal Mike Fedderson, Marine Corps League, Mount Diablo Detachment, 942, Danville.
To those who have served and those that are currently serving in the uniformed services of the United States, are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are those who have endured and still may be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and imprisonment. We pause to recognize those that are still considered as prisoners of war, to those who are missing, and to those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice to ensure our nation's freedom. And as you look upon this table, you'll notice that the tablecloth is white, which is symbolic of the purity of their intentions to respond to our country's call to arms. The single red rose that is in the vase reminds us of the blood that they may have shed while enduring peace for our beloved United States of America. The red rose also reminds us of the friends and families who keep the faith while awaiting their return. The yellow ribbon that is tied around the vase reminds us of the yellow ribbons that are worn on the lapels of thousands who demand with unyielding determination a proper account of our missing comrades who are not among us. There is a slice of lemon that is on the plate that reminds us of their bitter fate. The sprinkle of salt that is on the plate reminds us of the countless fallen tears of the families as they wait. The wine glass is inverted, for they cannot toast us at this time, and the chair is empty, for they are not here. The single lighted candle is reminiscent of the light of hope that lives in our hearts, illuminating their way home from their captors to the open arms of a grateful nation. And the American flag reminds us that many of them may never return, and who have paid the supreme sacrifice to ensure our freedom. So let us pray to the Supreme Commander that all of our comrades will soon be within our ranks. And let us remember and never forget their sacrifices. And may God watch over them and their families. God bless America, and God bless the men and women who have served and those that are currently serving in the uniformed services of these United States of America. Semper Fidelis.
I'm Congressman Mike Thompson, and it's an honor to join you virtually for the Walk of Honor for our veterans. Many thanks to Phillips 66 for sponsoring this very important event every year. We're so proud to honor the service and sacrifices of our nation's veterans. It's particularly important that we take a moment to thank our men and women who are in uniform today on Armed Forces Day. You left home, you left your family and your loved ones, and you sacrificed to protect our nation and our freedoms. You demonstrated the best our country has to offer, and for that, we are forever in your debt. And we are forever grateful to the families that you left at home, those who wrote to you and sent care packages and worried about you every day. Today, I'm reminded of a quote from President Eisenhower, one of our nation's great veterans. Quote, "The building of such a peace is a bold and solemn purpose. To proclaim it is easy. to serve it will be hard, and to attain it, we must be aware of its full meaning and ready to pay its full price. As we remember the veterans who have paid the full price, we're reminded of our responsibility to serve those who returned home. Know that I'll continue working to serve our veterans and their families. Thank you, and God bless our America.
I'm Assemblymember Tim Grayson. I am honored to participate once again in such a cherished and respected event. Thank you, Phillips 66, for making this possible. And a huge thank you to every sponsor and participant for continuing to support the Vietnam veterans of Diablo Valley and the Crockett Community Services District. I'd like to humbly express my gratitude to every active duty member, reservist, veteran, and their families for their service. It is a tremendous honor to stand beside you all, enjoying our freedoms, and thank you. Today, on Armed Services Day, we honor your bravery and service and your commitment to our country. As we walk today, I hope we take a moment to reflect on the daily contributions of the men and women in uniform and their loved ones who support them. We cannot repay the debt of sacrifice by those who commit themselves to serve in the name of freedom. So we take opportunities like these to honor their service. Thank you again to Phillips 66 and all the sponsors of this event for honoring our men and women in uniform and donating the money raised today to the Vietnam veterans of Diablo Valley, the Crockett Community Services District, and the Crockett Veterans Memorial Building. To everyone here today, thank you. May God bless you, your families, and the United States of America.
Good afternoon. I'm Supervisor Federal Glover and very honored to be here today to be a part of this great event that is put on every year by Phillips 66 and the Crockett Community Service District, where we recognize our veterans as well as our men and women that are still on active duty in the armed services. This is a great event. It's normally one where we have an opportunity to do a short walk and find ourselves back here at the center and able to have a barbecue while we are able to socialize with our veterans and men and women of service. But because of COVID, we're not able to do that. But it is really an honor, and I thank Phillips 66 and the Crockett Community Service District for continuing to recognize and celebrate the work of our men and women.
Hello, my name is Derek Henry. I am the Rodeo Veterans Network Chairman at Phillips 66. I'm a USW Local 326 member who proudly served 24.5 years in the United States Navy. This event is special to me as we take a moment to honor our past, present, and future servicemen. I would like to thank the Walk of Honor for our Veterans Planning Committee for their work on this event. Although we could not be together in person this year, we appreciate all of those of you who supported this virtual Walk of Honor for our Veterans event today. Again, thank you for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in person in our 13th annual Walk of Honor for our Veterans event on May 21st, 2022.